Hello and welcome to video 8, the last video in this video series, this 8 video series on everything you need to know to heal your trauma and be the boss of that trauma. So your question might be, where do I start? This is, right, video 2 of our Your Healing Path series. So let's just get right into it. There it is. So where do I start, right? So in this part 2, we're going to talk about assessing your stage of healing and figuring out where it is that you want to focus. And the good news is you can watch this again and again and refocus as you move forward with your stages, okay? So where do I start? Let's first talk about the 15 trauma healing goals here, okay? So the goals for trauma healing: finding safety, right? Self-regulation, being able to calm down, going from active to calm alert. So that's, nervous system regulation stuff. 3, coming into your body, okay? Going from being dissociated to grounded. Again, nervous system regulations. Moving from overwhelm to simplicity. It's another goal for trauma healing. Inner child, going from insecure to secure, right? Inner child work that's another goal for your trauma healing. 7, finding life, right? Going from shutdown to having vitality, and that relates to being your authentic self. And that is actually a stage 3 goal. Remember I said, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. If you don't have a lot of safety in your life and you don't have a lot of regulation in your life, looking to go from shutdown to having vitality is quite a lot to expect from yourself, right? So and at the same point, you might go to this place where you have all this vitality, and it might just open your heart so much that you might go to a place of being shut down again. Then I need to go back to my stage 1 strategies. Remember, I said it's like a pyramid, right? And those stage 1 strategies for grounding are going to be the thing that when you want to level up with your healing, that you're going to go back to again and again and again. And then you're going to look at your limiting beliefs again, and then you're going to shatter that glass ceiling and you're going to level up. Okay. Trust me. I know you don't know me. Oh my God. Okay. So much fun. So number 8, using your 5 senses. So that is the mindfulness that we talk about, and also good for grounding, right? You can ground yourself through your 5 senses. I noticed myself, one of the things when I really started to actually dial into my healing, food started tasting better. Wow, right? Okay. So finding power. That's because my nervous system was more regulated. So my sense of taste was then more able to be active. Just wanted to qualify that for you guys. So 9, finding power, finding will, learned helplessness, right, is something that happens for trauma survivors. So you move from this learned helplessness, we call it, to having an internal locus of control. So for trauma survivors, often it's like the idea of having power and control in your life is foreign, right? You've not had that as a trauma survivor. You're at the mercy of other people or situations. So part of the healing is moving that locus of control, we call it, to internal from external, right? So it's like all this stuff outside of me is the reason that these things are happening. And you want to move that into a place where you feel you have control and power, right? And that, again, my friends, is a stage 3 trauma healing goal. So don't put the cart before the horse. Be like, yeah, I'm going to pull my power. If you don't know how to regulate and you don't have safety, you're not going to find your power and be able to hang on to it. You might find it, but you'll lose it, right? So 10, finding yourself. Oh my God, that is a continuous stage 3 goal. Okay. So it's present for stage 1 for sure, and stage 2 as well. But remember, we talked about how you want to dial into your core values. And the more you get regulated, you stop thinking that this trauma state is your personality or who you are, and you start to transcend that into a more open-hearted, open-minded, calm, alert, centered way of living. Who doesn't want that, right? So we talk about finding self, going from shattered to whole. Remember, trauma shatters your sense of self, right? So rebuilding your sense of self, calling back lost parts of yourself, stage 3 therapy stuff, right? So there's the idea that when we go through trauma, parts of ourself will dissociate and go away, and then they come back. And often when they come back, we don't accept them, right? We don't like that anger. We don't like that sadness. We don't like that guilt. We don't like those feelings, right? But those feelings can very often be abandoned parts of ourself coming home to roost. And then we're like, nah, 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 right? And then it creates these patterns in our life, okay? So that's why I'm saying transcending your trauma involves, right? Calling home lost parts of self. And that is deep therapeutic work, my friends, okay? Stage 3, right? Transcendence is definitely a hardcore stage 3 goal, right? Finding yourself, though, you need to start, like we talked about, core values. What do you value? What do you hold dear? The more regulated you are, the more you're going to think clearly about that as well. So always your stage 1 game needs to be tight for your stage 2 and 3 game to be successful. Brain training. All right, you guys, cross lateralization. Who doesn't love it, right? Remember, we talked about the cross lateralization exercises, and there's that cool little video, the hand things. I can't do the hand things, right? You can draw the infinity sign. Oh, here's, this is a containment strategy. Pat, pat, pat. Now it's a containment strategy and a cross lateralization strategy. You're welcome. So brain training, super important when you come from trauma, because trauma leads to sort of like a polarization of the anxiety and the depression. I showed you that, right? We're together here in this 8th video. You've been through a lot to get here, right? So that cross lateralization game, maybe that's for you. I know for me, I got to a place where I got really stuck in a lot of patterns, and I was just like, oh, can't take these patterns anymore. I know I'm responsible, but I can't shift them. So I went to my brain training. I was like, okay, I want to shift these patterns. I know how I want to think, and sometimes I'm there, right? But my brain needs to be supported to get there. And that was where I needed to live for a while, okay? Analysis, analyzing our reactions. So this is a good goal for trauma healing for sure. But I mean, for some of us, right? We go into a rumination, inner critic rumination place where we're isolated and we're analyzing. So that's not what we're talking about here, right? What we're talking about is analyzing our reactions, our triggers, okay? So remember I said, when you're triggered and you're like, this person, that person, everybody did this, that's not analysis. That's an external locus of control. That's other people being the reason why. And I'm telling you, I get it, right? Yeah, some people are MFers, right? Some people do drama and effery like it's so good to them. They love it. I get you. I feel you. I am you. You don't know me. I do. I do. I know you. I am you. So that analysis, analyzing our reactions, watch out for it. Over rumination can be a bad sign of dysregulation. And that was for me where I was like, ooh, I need to up my game because I'm doing this weird over rumination thing where I want to call everybody and have them co-sign my bullshit for things that don't even matter, that aren't even real. Too much? Maybe. Okay. So, but analyzing your reactions, right? For me is like, oh, that's a reaction when I'm doing that. And now I'm analyzing it and going, maybe I don't need to do that, right? Maybe I need to do something different to get to where I want to go. Okay. So another analyzing your reaction thing could be like your triggers. Where in your body are they? What comes up for you? How hard is it to sit with stillness or emotion, right? When I feel joy, what happens when I feel joyful? What's the kickback? When I'm sad, right? Can I have a dialogue with my sadness? This is analyzing your reactions, okay? Your reactions, not your reaction to other people. You dig? All right. So we want to reach that higher mind. Oh my God, this is the best part, okay? So we go from that what they're calling in this slide, the reptilian brain, right, to the cortex brain. What I'm saying is, remember, you go into that instinctive emotional response, okay? If you like the Lord of the Rings, stick with me. If you don't, fast forward. So the Lord of the Rings, Gollum, right? The ring, precious, oh, precious. Who hasn't been there, right? When something's happening and you're in that like rumination place where you're like, ooh, this thing happened, and then they said this, and then they did that. I'm a therapist, right? So I love a good story. So I will meet you in that place where you're ruminating on a good story and just, ooh, my precious, my precious, my precious. But eventually I'm going to say something, right? We're going to stop the storytelling. But that part of me supporting you in that storytelling, is hopefully going to align us. And then it's going to soothe your nervous system and you're going to feel good. And you're going to move from that place where you're like, oh, my precious, right? To your actual frontal cortex engaging. And you might want to then problem solve. Okay. So reaching the higher mind, so exciting when you move from survival instinct to sort of like that thriving part of your brain. You're in the reflective part of your brain. The more that part of your brain comes online, it's actually magic, right? When we gravitate towards wellness, right? We have this optimistic brain, we have this homeostasis, we have this power for healing, right? And so when people meditate, right, it activates their pineal gland. And then that pineal gland, right, causes a cascading response in your body for healing. It's super cool. So nobody heals from addiction without accessing their higher power. I need you to understand that. For those of you that are struggling with process addictions like perfectionism, right, or substance addictions like alcohol, okay, you need to access whether it's your higher self, your reflective mind, whether it's your higher power, whether that's God, the universe, whatever, right? You need to access that part of your brain because that part of your brain is where the healing lies. That part of your brain is where the transcendence lies. Okay. So 15 trauma healing goals, boundaries and filters, right? Often for my trauma survivors, right? There's no boundaries, right? There's no boundaries. You don't have safety cues. You don't even know how to keep yourself safe. And those of you maybe who have a friend who's been through a lot and you're like, oh my God, oh, now you start to understand them a little better, right? Why it is that they're risk taking. They don't have a sense of, I was a huge risk taker as a young girl, and I come from intergenerational trauma, right? Huge risk taking, no sense. Anyway. So risk taking, right? A lack of a sense of feeling safe. Filters, right? No filter. Everything's just coming at you. It's just coming at you. No boundaries, right? You don't have any boundaries. So moving from a place of being unboundaried, right, to being boundaried and filtered, that is a worthy goal, right? But that's not something you do overnight either. That's stage 2 work and stage 3 work, right? But you need to be grounded in order to get there. You need your stage 1 game to be tight, okay? So remember, these are trauma healing goals. They're not a map. They're just goals. Choose one, focus on it. When you figure that you've got it, come back, listen to this segment again and again. There's a lot of amazing advice in there. Like, man, if I could say all of this in one therapy session and have it land for people, I would be the best therapist ever, right? I'll say all this stuff and someone will get one bit of it, right? That's why I say even good change is hard. Let what resonates be what resonates and focus on what resonates. You're growing your understanding of how to get through this. Okay? And it's unique to you. So you ask yourself, right? Do I need to regulate my nervous system? Right? Only you can know. Actually, there's an assessment that we'll do, which will, spoiler alert, we'll figure it out together. So do you need to shift your limiting beliefs? Again, right? Only you can know, and we'll do the assessment and you can decide for yourself. Or are you ready for the deeper trauma therapy, right? Or have you been doing the deeper trauma work and are you feeling really dysregulated from it? Do you need to go back to get your regulation skills on board? And then do you need to re-examine your belief system and look at your limiting beliefs, right? There's a flow. It's not static in that way, but it is a process. If you don't, it's a pyramid in a sense, right? If you don't have your regulation, if you can't regulate your nervous system, you're not going to shift your beliefs. You can do all this CBT therapy, cognitive behavior therapy you want. If you can't regulate, you are not going to make the lasting changes that you want. There, I said it. I said it. Okay, so you want to begin always with self-compassion, right? And remembering that that self-compassion is going to open your heart up a little bit, a lot sometimes, and that can lead you into a place where you feel really overwhelmed emotionally. So it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel stuck. It's okay to feel confused. It's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay. Above all, be kind to yourself and refuse to let negative feelings trigger you into waging a war on yourself, right? We turn wounded children, right? We turn that inward. You're waging a war on yourself, okay? You don't know me. Sorry, not you. Other people are doing that, but you're not doing that. Certainly not me. I don't do that. So exhaustion is not a sign of weakness. It means you've been strong for too long, okay? Something to consider when we talk about boundaries, right? There's ways we violate our own boundaries. So this looks like spending time with people to the point of emotional exhaustion, not speaking up about something that's important to us, overgiving without asking to have our needs reciprocated back, not making our opinions or our emotions a priority, not letting people know when we hit our emotional or physical limits, right? We're violating our own boundaries, okay? Again, if you need to take a break and laugh it off, that's why I sort of make the joke about you don't know me, because I try to lighten it up a bit. But some of my clients don't like my joking. So you want to be cautious of connections that feel like home, if home wasn't always a safe space for you. Okay. That one is a deep one. When I first read it, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So give yourself the space if you need it. Take a break, get a drink of water, right? Come on back. This is so cute, right? I'm physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausted. That's what nervous system dysregulation does to you, right? I feel like my stress is a permanent part of my being. I don't want that for you. You don't need to live like that, okay? So remember, we're talking about a state of being versus a trait. So dysregulated state can be mistaken for personality. That's not who you are. So learning to get grounded or to regulate your nervous system will help return you to that reflective brain. Okay. It's worth it, you guys. Self-compassion is key. It helps with depression, anxiety, mood disorders, and PTSD. The research is solid. Have you developed your 3-step practice? Come on, you guys. Tell me you have, okay? The gesture, we developed the gesture together. The language, right? How would you talk to a friend? And then we combined them, calling up a moment, right? So, and here I'm going to have a moment of self-compassion for myself because your healing path part 2, we're in your healing path part 2. Whoops, Vanessa. So following along in the workbook, if you haven't filled it out yet, what I want you to do, or get your journal, everybody, just pause if you need to, get your journal. And we are going to come up with your action plan, okay? Your path to wellness, because no matter what, your stage 1 game needs to be tight, so you're never going to lose when you focus there. If you don't know what to do, focus there first, and the other things will come clear. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about 3 ways that you co-regulate, right? So with someone else, with nature, or with spirit, okay? So take a moment, press pause, and just think about it with someone else. So what are some ideas? So for me, 3 ways that I co-regulate. I have a girlfriend who works in mental health, and we chat while we make dinner and we laugh about work and some of the harder things that we deal with in our divorced single mom lifestyle. Okay. So that I co-regulate with her that way. Nature. I am fortunate that I live in a very beautiful place. So I love the way that the wind feels on my body, or like the smell of the ocean, say. Okay. Co-regulating with nature. I'm smelling the ocean and it regulates my nervous system because it makes me feel good, right? Or I'm seeing something beautiful. You use your senses to regulate your nervous system. So I see the beautiful thing, it makes me feel good. Okay. So other ways, a third way that we co-regulate is with spirit. So I'll give you an example for that. Maybe you're really religious. I don't know, right? Maybe you like going to church. Boom, easy, easy, right? But again, nature, if you get a spiritual feeling in nature, you can co-regulate with spirit through nature. Some people love to garden. You can co-regulate through a spiritual practice that's ritualistic, like gardening or through being creative. If you aren't necessarily, say, higher power oriented, but remember what I said, when you have trauma, addiction, and things like that, very often you need to be able to figure out, how do you co-regulate with spirit? What does that mean to you? Okay. So if you need to, journal on it. Not everybody's into God, but if you are, then boom, you have an easy in for co-regulation through the big guy. Okay. Still talking about regulating, but this time we're talking about self-regulating. Remember what I said to you in one of our videos about how the task for little kids, right, is that you're supposed to learn to self-regulate, and you learn that through your parents because they co-regulate with you and then they teach you to self-regulate, unless your parents are mentally ill or substance affected or otherwise, then they use you to co-regulate, and then you have no boundaries and no safety and all that sort of stuff because you're someone else's regulation tool. And that means that you never learned how to self-regulate. Okay. Okay. So again, if this stuff hits hard, take a moment, take a break, right? Have a joke, make a laugh, have a laugh, make a joke. Anyway, sorry, you guys. So self-regulation, you can do it through your senses. Okay. So what I want you to do is write down 3 ways that you regulate visually, what you see, smell that you like, sound, things that you like to hear, touch, and taste. Okay, so press pause on the screen and you've got those things, 3 ways for each one of those. I've given you a lot of ideas. Okay, there's no wrong answer. It's you. How do you self-regulate with smells? Is it a bakery smell, right? And then you can get clever and you can combine them, right? Maybe you're at the beach and you like the sights and the smell, right? Or maybe you're in the bathtub and you're like, ooh, the hot water feels really good and the scents in the bathtub feel good. And then I put music on and I'm a master regulator. Okay, so get creative and make sure that you take the time to get to know yourself and feel these things out. So now we're going to talk about the stages of trauma recovery, right? And this can help you to assess the stage of healing that you're at. These are true, false questionnaires, and you can absolutely return to them and do them again and again and again. You can screenshot them and or print them up or whatever. So this is stage 1, right? So you're going to true, false, right? I cannot sit still and meditate. True, false. I become overly overwhelmed and easy. I become overly, you get it, right? Angry outbursts. I obsess over situations. The world is unfriendly. Unable to feel happy or joyful. Things you used to like are no longer appealing. Circumstances of your life are overwhelming. Others blame me for their problems. My relationships are intense. So if you're answering true to most of those or all of them, right, then you can rest assured that you want to focus on stage 1, trauma recovery, self-regulation skills. Okay. So stage 2, true, false again. You're going to go through this and look, I can engage in participatory guided relaxation exercises. So what I want to explain is a very dysregulated nervous system. You can't meditate. You sit still and you get calm. And then what happens is all of it rushes. I had a client say to me once, the silence is too loud. Oh, the silence is too loud. Oh my God, right? That is an assessment piece where you're like, okay, stage 1 is where we're at with that. Okay. So stage 2, You can engage in participatory guided relaxation exercises. I can be caught up in overwhelm, right? I can be caught up in it. I can think in terms of all or nothing at times. I can be upset for days when things get really bad, right? Notice you're not upset all the time, but there's days, right? I am able to recognize negative thinking patterns. Yeah, I get it, right? I can understand my patterns, but I'm not able to shift them. Okay. Beginning to experience happiness, joy, and delight. You get it, and then it goes, and then you get into that space where you're complaining about life and events that are happening, right? Remember, I was telling you about that's like that chewing a bone, a dog chewing a bone. Call 5 friends, right? Absolutely, right? Call someone and talk to the things that are happening, get the support that you need, but recognize, right? Like, did that help? Or do I need to call someone else now? And then talk to about how that person didn't give me what I needed. Okay. 9, I have a sense of who I'm becoming and who I want to be. Important, right? Stage 2, you're getting a sense of your core values, right? And the more you have a sense of who you want to be, right? Then the more you have an idea of what boundaries you need to set. The more you're doing things that you like that support your authentic self, right? So then having a sense of purpose and goals starts to be part of your life. Okay. So remember, you can revisit these and just check in, right? And you can move through the 1, 2, 3, and then come back and be working on something particularly in stage 2 again. Right? So stage 3, I'm able to sit still and meditate easily. That's a sign that your nervous system can regulate, that you are regulated in your nervous system and that you can bring yourself back into that homeostasis, right? I'm able to calm down easily. When I'm overwhelmed, I know what to do to calm myself down, and it works, right? I see the shades of gray in life. I'm not always black and white. I'm responsible for my own pattern and behavior, right? That's a stage 3 thing where you're like transcending blaming everyone else for your problems, right? You're real about the role of other people for sure, but you're understanding your part. Okay. I'm expressing who I am in the world, right? Amazing. I'm acting to interrupt my patterns. I might have missed that one, right? So once you understand the patterns, then you're shifting your behavior to interrupt them because you recognize relationships are transactional. What does that mean, Vanessa? It means there's 2 people involved, right? So that's where the boundary piece becomes really important. My girlfriend said to me one time, she's like, I don't know, I just would never put up with the things that you put up with in relationships. Interesting, right? Interesting. Her boundaries were more solid than mine. So expressing who I am in the world, important. Authenticity, being of service, showing up for people. It feels good, right? I recognize when I'm complaining too much, it's a sign I need to change something. I need to change something, not other people, right? I have a new sense of self as a result of the trauma. I understand what I've been through. I'm not trying to pretend it didn't happen. I'm not trying to say that I'm not affected by it, but I just recognize, right? And your trauma doesn't boss your life, right? You understand it. You know what role it plays and who you are, right? You've transformed it very often into something that you're using to help other people is often what happens. A new sense of self, right? And then you're making choices that support who you are instead of choices to stay safe. Okay. So that's the stage 3 assessment. So healing takes time and understanding the steps involved. And now right? So congratulations, you did it. You made it through this whole 8 video series, and it's yours to look through again and again. You'll find new things. I promise you will. I've done this presentation with one of my colleagues, and they've seen the presentation about 15 times. Okay. And they would always say to the newest group, oh, she's changed the presentation in me again. And I didn't. I'm honestly not that industrious. No, I just think it's hilarious, right? So what it is that with every time that he would do the presentation with me, there was a deepening understanding going on. And same for me. Every time I work through this, I come to a deeper understanding, and I hope that that's the same for you. So remember, right? Perseverance is stubbornness with a purpose. So take your stubbornness and apply it to your life and hang in there, right? Focus on your stage one if that's where you need to be. Look at your limiting beliefs if that's where you need to be. Integrate the changes, do the deeper work of stage three if that's where you need to be. So thank you so much for choosing me to guide you through this. I'm so grateful to be with you on this journey, and I look forward to answering your questions, hearing about your progress, and just overall knowing that you will be more in control of your life, less at the mercy of your triggers, and more able to be there for your family, and most importantly, able to feel the love that life has for you, right? So thank you so much. Like I say, I look forward to hearing all about it. Take good care.